giving all praises. Let me say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Kol Halala Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Barcha, Kodash. Double honors to my apostles and elder bishops and great millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Lord's hopeful elect scattered abroad. I'm your brother Taza Ward from the GMS New Jersey camp, and just back at you again another morning in hopes to edify those of the hopeful elect. And I got a video I watched a little bit through this morning. I was listening, and this is from the Jason A channel, and he said something has arrived on Earth. And basically this guy, he putting out there that the drones that that happen out here in Jersey, that being seen in other places, are not actually drones. Going back to the orbs, what they identified them as, and taking shape shifting into a actual I guess ship. So hey, Zechariah the 5th chapter, that's what I think of. I think of the angels that ride in the vehicles across this universe and that go across this earth. So let me bring that out real quick. And you brothers, I'm singing a song. Y'all know the scriptures. Y'all know the usual. This is what we do. All right. Constantly, consistently bring this word out. All right. Zechariah 5:1, and I'm gonna let the video play in a minute. It says, this is Zechariah. He said, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. It says, the length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. It says, Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh, the Lord of hosts," meaning the Lord of armies, because these are nothing but the Lord's army. Okay, this is his air force. You see, in the angels riding those vehicles. So the Lord of armies, Yahweh, "And it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof." So not only the Lord has the angels riding in this earth, but Esau, he stole. All right, he's the thief. He stole a people, the Lord's chosen people. All right, he's stolen resources. He's stolen land. Okay, you name it, he stole it. So the Lord said he will allow them to enter into the house of the thief, and he said they will consume it, meaning eventually the angels in that time, all right, when prophecy is fulfilled, they're gonna get down. All right, when Yahushua return, they're gonna start destroying these other nations and their armies. They're gonna go on full attack upon you Edomites and your armies. That's why you Jakes, you got no business being in the military, man. You got no Jakes don't have no business being in the military serving this country, because this ain't your country. All right, you work for the elite, and you expendable. All right, they'll give a shit about you. All right, it said, "And shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof." Right, so that's basically the point. So without further ado, let's play the video.
Thing is much more significant here than we're being allowed to know. Why are governments persistently trying to blame Russia and China? I know it's an easy default explanation, But if you remember, there was that Representative Jeff Van Drew in Congress in North America who came out and said that the drones over New Jersey were an Iranian mothership. That never came to anything either. At what stage do we start seriously questioning the veracity of government statements when they issue so many contradictory assertions? Remember, we were told that the drones over New Jersey were FAA authorised research drones, which was a total lie. The FAA came out and categorically denied that they had authorised any overflights in that area.
Germany's interior minister said Saturday that it has noticed an increased presence of drones over parts of the country in recent days. Describing the threat level as high, the minister said that Berlin will be adopting measures to protect itself in response. Take a listen to him earlier.
Wir stellen fest, eine ständige
We note a permanent hybrid threat.
Es geht Sabotage und Spionage.
It's about sabotage and espionage.
In den vergangenen
Everyone could hear in the past few days that there has been an increased use of drones over parts of Germany.
gegeben hat. Auch unsere Nachbarländer berichten.
Our neighbouring countries are also reporting an increase in drones with varying degrees of effectiveness.
Es geht ein Wettrüsten.
Just want to make a quick point. It's possible the Lord is fucking with these devils, all right, with the angels that ride in the vehicles, and they're showing up to their, military bases and doing things, or just appearing there, being a bother, because it's almost about that time. If he, is around the corner from issuing and installing his AI, and now everybody, according to UK, mandatory digital ID. Who's next? America, the daughter of Great Britain, right? If we're that close, it's possible the Lord, have the angels swinging low. And it could be, and this is my humble opinion, it could be just fucking with Edom or preparing. All right? Letting Edom know, look, what you about to do, okay, you ain't alone, okay? You being watched. The Lord said that in Zechariah 5 that they are a curse that go across the face of the whole earth for everyone that stilleth on this side, all right, and on that side, roughly paraphrasing as I just read the scripture. So these angels are not for you devils. They're going to destroy y'all, and it's all due to prophecy. I think of Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says a time, season, and purpose under the heavens. We bring it out all the time, man. All right, a time, season, and purpose under the heavens. When that time is right, that's when they're gonna act out, and they're gonna show up, and they're gonna show out. When Yahweh shall appear, when he lead that charge with the band of angels, okay, you devils in this kingdom going down, man. You're going down, and it looks like, and this is, I say again, my humble opinion from what the reports is, and this is just my humble opinion, because what are the facts? We just hearing them speak about certain things. But the thing is, it sounds like they're trying to hide the fact that they're being bothered. That's what it seems. It seems like they're hiding that they're being bothered, all right, by the angels of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So let's continue.
We're witnessing an armament race, an arms race between drone threats and drone defense.
Abwehr.
We must prepare ourselves for this, a race that we must not lose.
Wir nicht verlieren.
And that is why we need to upgrade our technology.
Aufzurüsten.
Well, that announcement from the German interior minister came just hours after Denmark made a similar claim. The Nordic country's defense ministry saying that drones were observed at several of its facilities overnight on Friday, following a series of sightings across the country earlier this week.
These incursions, whatever they are, may not necessarily be drones. There are people that have described to me seeing orb-like objects coming into airspace and then in some way morphing into shapes of aircraft. I have people that have shown me images of what looked like the shapes of a 737 or a commercial passenger jet moving at impossibly slow speeds over parts of New Jersey and New York. It's the same in Copenhagen. Martin tells me that some of the witnesses in Copenhagen estimated the size of this object as the size of an A380 aircraft, the largest commercial passenger jet.
All right, so, with that being said, could it be Project Bluebeam? These are the things that pop in mind. Could it be Project Bluebeam? They saying that the orbs, or whatever he said, are shape-shifting into aircrafts. Why would the angels turn into an aircraft? Now, it's possible. All right, angels can take, when the Most High want them to, okay, they can take the form of a man, so it's nothing impossible, to turn into an aircraft to deceive Eve, to deceive Eve, But it could be also a test on that Project Bluebeam. Let's not forget, the whistleblower. I remember the beginning of this year, last year, on Redacted Show, he was a FBI former agent, and he blew the lid off of the Project Bluebeam, and he said that basically, they're gonna deceive everyone. And he talked about the scripture where the Lord said, you're gonna, what was it? Salaki. What did the Lord say? I'm gonna say, freak, Salakia. I can't remember the wording, but the Lord is gonna, you're gonna hear His voice. And so the FBI former agent, I might leave it in the production as well, because I think I have it. I put it in a couple videos recently, a couple weeks ago maybe. But anyway, he said in the video that, that of course Edom, they know the scriptures, so to deceive everyone, Project Bluebeam has been basically upgraded, not just a hologram image, but basically something realistic, to the point where they have technology to where they can, you will hear certain things. And also, he said, what make it real will be the fact that, certain buildings will be destroyed. All right. He said, like, basically, something in the sky is shooting down something, and of course, people won't believe it because they see it. They see the destruction of something.
What I'm here to tell people is that when Project Bluebeam is used, again, it's not going to be by the United States. It's not going to be by national. It's going to be by global government. They're the ones who are going to use this stuff. And it's going to be not just a bunch of pretty holograms. They're going to be using it for religious figures. They're going to have Jesus in the sky, but it's not just going to be holograms. There's going to be voice-to-skull technology. It's also going to be used. They're going to be able to have these figures speak to every human being on the planet. Imagine the impact of that they're going to be able to see the figure and also hear the figure talking to them. It's amazing. I think that is the particular reason why Jesus said in the Bible, my sheep hear my voice, and they will recognize my voice. And I think that was an anticipation of when this operation goes forward. And it's going to go forward in conjunction also with the great fake alien invasion. It's going to go forward with that. And who knows, it's going to be also a sweetener. It's going to be, instead of, we're going to have, maybe 10 or 20 UAPs that have incredible destructive capacity against our cities. But then with Project Bluebeam, they can make those appear like 200 or 300 or 400 UAPs. See, that's what they can do. And also these holograms, we call them holograms because that's the word that we know. But they're going to probably have the capacity for noise, for sounds, for solidity, temporary solidity as well. And then you can say, well, but then that's not a hologram. Well, yeah, it's probably going to be something that is several steps above a hologram as well. So these are the things that we're facing. And these things are going to be faced all at once. That's the reason why I try so hard.
So they could be tests. Who knows, man? I'm just throwing things out there according to this report. What they talked about. It could be the angels of the Heavenly Father, or it could be E. All right, he do have power on the left-hand side, and this power that was given to him is not for him to win. It's basically for him to actually lose. The Most High said he will show his power in thee. So if wondering, scriptures. Why would the God give him this sort of power? Well, just go back and read the story of when we were freed through Moses out of Egypt, and when Moses and Aaron was battling Pharaoh and then his sorcerers and magicians. You know, they were going back and forth. The sorcerers had power too. They was doing miracles too. All right, but it was the power of Yahweh. All right, Hashem Yahushai that was with Moses. Okay, to win. All right, showing you the Most High was showing you the greater power. You know, hey, the right hand is better than the left, if you want to say. So let's continue.
Whatever these objects are, I really think we're at the stage where we need to stop swallowing and just accepting glibly the explanations from government agencies.
NATO says it will conduct even more enhanced vigilance and ramp up its air defenses in the Baltic Sea in direct response to drone incursions into Europe this week. Molly Hunter is in London for us tonight. Molly, what's the latest?
Jose, in the last 24 hours, police say unidentified drones were spotted near Denmark's main military base. And earlier this week, drone sightings shut down the NATO country's biggest airport. The Danish Prime Minister was clear, saying there is one main country that poses a threat to Europe's security, and it is Russia. A reminder, earlier this month, NATO fighter jets shot down Russian drones over Polish airspace, raising alarm across the continent. And today, Russia's top diplomat, Sergei Lavrov, told the UN any aggression against his country will be met with a decisive response.
Which is really quite extraordinary. I find it amazing, and this has happened with regular frequency right across the United States. Despite the assertions being made by the White House, by different parts of the Pentagon, and by the Federal Aviation Administration in America, these drone sightings are still happening, so-called drones. I don't believe they are drones. Increasingly, I think the evidence suggests that they are certainly some kind of craft. But why would any foreign state actor, even a foreign adversary actor, want to put highly sensitive, clearly highly advanced technology over civilian airspace in Denmark, for heaven's sake? To what end? For what purpose? That's what fascinates me.
We have nothing to hide. We never attack. Civilian objects, incidents happen, but we never conduct targeted fire on them. We never direct our drones or missiles at states located in Europe, and members of the European Union and countries of the North Atlantic Alliance. And once again, if the Poles really wanted to figure this out, we would have proposed a meeting, immediately proposed a meeting. But no one ever wants to discuss the facts.
Default.
Yeah, that's probably because whoever's in charge that's above know exactly what they is. So they leave it alone. You know? So hopefully, Lord willing, man, you know, something come down the pipe. Alright, that draw us into that next phase. You know, that was good news, man, to hear that UK is looking to do the digital ID, right? Because that's a foundation of gradualism and conditioning for the MOTB, the mark of the beast. So that was great news, man. You know, the Lord always, you know, give us brothers those extra faith boosters, you know, to keep you charged up, keep you going. Sometimes you feel like you're going through the motions, you know, and then bam, the Lord excites you with great news. All right, and I say great news because that's going to lead to this devil's downfall, his destruction. You know, where he's going, he can't go back. There's no turning back for E. E is exposed to being the son of perdition. He is the wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. You know. So now we're about to see the power. All right, we're about to see great power from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and even more power. Well, and even power on the left-hand side that they've been holding in. Because these devils got power, man, and that's why they're so proud. All right, they believe they're gonna win. They believe they got this thing in the bag. They got it all figured out. You know, and AI is the agent that helps them. Okay. Calculated their numbers right, to be more precise, persistent, you know, to persevere, you know, and get what they want. And they want control. They have the plan. They you know, they've been had the plan, and now they're rolling it out. and they're installing all of the, the things they need to get this thing going. All right. So I'm gonna play a little bit more, and I'm gonna close. Spirit feel like the spirit leaving. All right, it's time to close up. So let's continue.
Immediately, too, it must be the Ruskies, it must be the Chinese, and then they start saying, oh, it was misidentifications, it was civilian aircraft. You're a bunch of hysterics, you got it all wrong. There is clearly something invading the airspace of certain nations around the world. It's actually happening in Russia, China, Japan. It's happening everywhere. It has diminished a lot since the November, December, January incidents over the north of America, but it's still happening. And the interesting thing is, nobody has ever provided a shred of proof to establish that Russia, China, or any foreign state adversary is responsible for these incursions, which, if you think about it, is insane. If something the size of an A380 was coming into the airspace of Copenhagen's airport, you would know for a fact that any kind of aircraft would be seen on radar, early detected, jets would be scrambled, the source and the origin of the drone or object or whatever it is would be traced. That hasn't happened. Wake up, people.
So as for the Danish case then goes, still no news on who might be responsible?
No response from anybody to say they were responsible either for the attacks in Germany, which took place in the Schleswig-Holstein state, which is pretty close to the border with Denmark, or also in Denmark, where we've seen fresh attacks overnight in several areas, notably at the Skryb Air Base, the Jutland Dragoon Regiment, and also, more importantly, that hasn't been confirmed by the Danish authorities but by local media, that there was a sighting of drones at the Karup Air Base, which is situated in the centre of the country. This is the main air base in Denmark, the biggest military air base, and that's why the authorities are being a bit tight-lipped about it, but the reports from local authorities say that there were drones both inside and outside of that airbase, but still no claim of responsibility from anybody for these drone attacks. That hasn't stopped the authorities in both Germany, as we've just been hearing, and also in Denmark from pointing the finger indirectly at the Russians. The Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, said Denmark had been a victim of hybrid attacks, which he said could then multiply.
We don't know yet, and that's the whole point. Why are governments repeatedly, as happened in CONUS in the United States, asserting that these objects, I'm not going to call them drones, are in fact linked to foreign state actors like Russia or China? Where is the evidence? As the President has said, they don't know what it is. Okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about how in Copenhagen, Denmark, on September 22nd through to 23rd this year, there were sightings of 2 to 3 large, unidentified objects near the Copenhagen airport in Denmark. It shut down that airport for 4 hours, and about 100 flights were disrupted, and there were similar disruptions. There were follow-on disruptions at other airports around Scandinavia. Now, the Danish authorities immediately referred to it as an attack, and they're pointing the finger at Russia. And there's suggestions that because there was a bulk Russian carrier crewed by Russian crewmen about 80 kilometers away, that somehow these dastardly Ruskies have been able to insert a drone into some of the most secure airspace in Denmark, a country which has some of the world's best radar, and somehow get those drones in without detection and out without detection. This strains credibility.
So there is a big investigation going on as to who could be responsible for all of this and how long this is going to last for. But I think what is safe to say is that these drone attacks over the last few days have opened up the possibility or the fear that Europe is very vulnerable, that this wasn't seen as something that was going to happen or could have happened, but not on such a strong level. And I think this has been a wake-up call. The problem is that the drones, for the moment, they can get through detection of radar, and they're quite hard to identify, and also can cause damage if they are shot down. That's why the Danish authorities so far say they haven't shot down any drones, because they don't want them to cause damage or hit an aeroplane. And all the drones have gone back to where they came from, and they haven't been identified. So I think this is an ongoing situation, but the finger is pretty much being pointed at Russia right now.
I am being told by multiple sources we have no idea what was responsible for the New Jersey incursions and the incursions that are still ongoing across different parts of the United States, including over military bases. I've spoken to somebody 2 days ago who's been sending me videos from Florida, near Eglin Air Force Base. These incursions, whatever they are, may not necessarily be drones. There are people that have described to me seeing orb-like objects coming into airspace and then in some way morphing into shapes of aircraft.
So it's time now for something to be done. And one other element is that really I think there is
Right, so, you know, whether that's the angels of Yahweh riding those vehicles, or that is Project Bluebeam, or some new technology that being released, because he like to play war games, you know. That's what he's doing now, playing a war game. And if they have that sort of power, you know, the whistleblower, forgot his name already, he said that basically they discovered back in the 50s anti-gravity, and they kept it, and, you know, and they got replica crabs that look like the chariots of Yahweh, and they are you know, the people who behind it are with me. He said they went rogue, and he said they need to be stopped, you know. But that's you know, part of the plan of this so-called alien invasion, man. So they can't identify these objects. So, you know, whether they know it or not, you know, that's basically the lesson. I don't have much, you know, like I always do, click the button. I'm taking this ride in the morning to the gig, and that's what we got. All right, so with that, I hope you were edified. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Double honors to my apostles and elder bishops here in Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Lord's elect. Shalom.